Hey folks, my name is Randy Piku. I'm an NRA firearms instructor. Today we're going to be talking about a full-size M&P 9mm semi-automatic. First thing we do, like in all situations when we fool with a handgun, we want to make sure that it's unloaded. Rack the slide back, drop the magazine, nothing there, nothing in here. You want to feel, make sure, and it is good to go. Okay, now we're going to remove this slide. There are several ways, or a couple of ways, that you can take this slide off. The easiest way is what I'm going to show you. You're going to manipulate this lever, put it in down position. It's your takedown lever. You're going to run the slide back up, pull the trigger, and the slide comes right off. Okay, so now we're going to tear down the components that lie within the slide here. And first thing is the recoil spring. We're going to press backwards, pull out, very simple, nothing to it. Barrel, we're going to push forward just a little bit. Then we take it out from the rear, and we are good, and we are ready to clean. Okay, first thing we'll do is work on this barrel. From the rear of the barrel, you want to take a dry brush and dry brush. Always holding this T-handle so the brush, it allows the brush to rotate when you're pushing it through. This gun is really not that dirty, but we're going to pull it through here 2 or 3 times. And then we're going to take our patch holder and we're going to put a patch, a dry patch here. Okay. We're going to get a little bit of our solvent. Hoppy's number 9, pretty much the standard cleaning solvent out there. I poured quite a bit there, but we'll see. I'm going to mop the inside of this barrel, the bore here, with this solvent. We're not necessarily trying to clean it, but you can see how dirty it is under there. We're going to mop the inside of it and leave a lot of that solvent remaining in that barrel. We're going to take this feed ramp, clean it real good with the, you can use the same patch with solvent on it, just soak it down real good. You're going to brush here in a minute, get it all off. Anywhere there may be a little carbon residue. Then you're going to kind of set this thing over to the side, and we're going to work on our slide. We're going to dry brush the slide to release any carbon that's just sitting on the outside or anything that's loose. Before we wet it, we want to make sure that's all gone. May not be anything, but you never know what could be just sitting right there. You want to dry brush in the lower. You can be aggressive with brushing the slide. You don't want to be real aggressive with this because there are little springs and stuff in there that you can have a nightmare with getting it back together if you release some of that stuff. Your rails, your rail guides here that interface with your slide. Dry brush them really good. Okay, now we're going to now wet brush this. We're going to use some more of our solvent. Put it on our brush, a few drops of it. We come back to the slide and we're going to brush it down really good. You can get pretty aggressive in the slide. You want to make sure you do this face here, breech face, brush it really good. Okay, then we want to take the lower And do the same thing. There's probably enough solvent on there that you can just do the lower without resaturating the brush. You don't need a lot here. You've dry brushed it, now you're wet brushing it. And you don't want to be as aggressive with this as you are with your slide, because there's some tiny parts and springs that are there that you don't want to disturb, or you may wind up in a nightmare trying to get all this back together. All right. Well, I'll tell you what, let's brush this end of the barrel, the rear end of the barrel too. We put a little solvent on there, and it's been sitting. I'm gonna brush this feed ramp behind this lug here. Now, we're gonna dry out the slide. Take a clean rag. Get as much as you can get with your finger in the rag. You can see where it's picking up a little dirt there, a little sludge that's on there. Now you can't reach into all those cracks and crevices, so what I like to do is take a Q-tip. This, again, is a low lint Q-tip. It won't leave any Q-tip fibers in places where they shouldn't be. So you're trying to get all this solvent out of here and all the released carbon from the solvent. And I can still see a little shine in there, so what I'm going to do is get a patch and a pick. These are pretty handy to get into the crevices. All right, we'll take it on the other side. Do the same thing. And you don't have to get it completely out of there. You want to get as much as you can, but solvent, if it sits there, it will evaporate. But you want to get as much off there because we're going to immediately lubricate this firearm too. Same way with this, the lower, you want to get as much off that you can with your cloth or shop towel. Get another Q-tip and dry it all out. And you can see we're picking up a little residue. This gun was really clean before we started, but like I said, you can go back and clean this gun again and come up with pretty much the same stuff. It's hard to get it completely spotless. All right, now let's move back to the barrel. And we had dry brushed it last time we fooled with the barrel, so we got solvent in there now that we mopped in. We're going to take this barrel and we're going to, don't do what I almost did. You want to run the bore brush through the back of the barrel. Hold the T-handle so it rotates. You can do this 3 or 4 times, and that is cutting loose what the solvent has broken down in there. We're going to get our patch holder. We're going to get a patch put on it. And we're going to run that through the barrel. And see, it's picking up all that grime that the solvent in the brush has loosened up. So you want to do that a couple times, probably maybe even 3 times, 4 times. The patch will tell you when you're done. All right, we'll take that patch, put it in there. We're gonna run it back through the barrel here. Now see, that patch is coming out a little bit cleaner, still has some residue there that it's picking up. You could do this 3 or 4 or 5 times, whatever you want to do. And when that is clean, we're going to start the lubrication process. So again, we'll start with the barrel. We'll get another clean patch, put it in the patch holder. Let's get our rag here. So it'll make such a mess. And we're going to take some lubricating oil. Put it on our patch. Doesn't take a lot. Barrel from the rear of the barrel. We're going to oil that barrel back and forth. Now when it comes out, you're going to see a little residue on this also. There, that's wet oil and some residue that it picked up. Now if you want to do you can take this as far as you want to take it, but that is good. What we've done, we've left a thin film of oil in here. Now that thin film of oil inhibits rust buildup in here. If you put this gun away and you don't fire it for a while, you will wind up having rust inside the bore of the gun. So now we're going to lubricate the rest of the gun. We're going to take this oil, we're going to put 1 drop in the rail channels, the rails of the slide. I'll put 1 drop here. Take another Q-tip, spread that out around. Again, you don't want too much oil on a gun. It's a bad thing. I'd rather have a gun with no oil than too much oil. And see, even when you're oiling it, you're going to still pick up a little bit. Here, I will take this patch, run it through here to, like we did to get the solvent out. We want to get most of this excess oil out of here too. All right, going on this side, do the same thing. Yeah, it was a really wet spot there. We need to get that out. Okay, and this can have just a tad of oil on the metal parts and the rail guides. So you put a little bit on your Q-tip. Any metal part you see there, you can put a little film of oil on it. Your rail guides underneath them. And that's good. All right. Now that we have cleaned it, we're going to reassemble it. Take your slide. You're going to take the barrel, put it in, let it drop back down. See a little bit of shiny oil right there. I want to get that off of there. On the very bottom of that barrel right behind the lug. We need to get that off of there. Okay. Then we'll take our recoil spring. Very simple to put back in. Again, there's a spot here. If you can see it, it's a concave little indention. That's where the round part of this recoil spring rests. It'll sit in there and seat in there. Just going to make sure that it's there. Take your slide assembly. Make sure that, don't just rack it back quick. Make sure it's not going to tap on anything here. Get to this position. Rack it back. Lock it in place. Push the takedown lever here. All right, what we're going to do, we're going to see if it's functioning right. We're going to put an empty magazine back in the pistol that we just cleaned. Empty magazine holds the slide back. We're going to manipulate the slide forward and pull the trigger, and I think we are good to go here. We have a M&P 9mm full-size pistol that we've just disassembled, cleaned, and reassembled, and I hope this helps you out some way.